Call to order, please. Welcome to Calexico City Council, Calexico Redevelopment Successor Agency / Calexico Financing Authority regular session agenda at approximately 6:33. Roll call.
Mayor Bill Hodge,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem David Romero,
Here.
Councilmember Rosie Arriola Fernandez, Councilmember Morris Risen, Councilmember Luis Pacheco.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, thank you. Please stand. I'll lead you in the Pledge of Allegiance. Hand over heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Remain standing. We have the mission statement. Mr. Dale.
Together, we pledge to provide effective and efficient services in a courteous and respectful manner to improve the quality of life for all in our unique border community. Viva Calexico.
Remain standing. Mayor Pro Tem, invocation.
Bueno, Señor, te queremos dar las gracias esta tarde, Padre, de poder estar aquí, Señor, de poder estar tomando unas decisiones, Señor, que nos guíes hoy tú a nosotros en las decisiones que estamos a punto de tomar. De la misma manera te pedimos que guíe las decisiones de nuestro condado, Señor, de nuestras ciudades hermanas, del centro de Brole, de Imperial y de Hortville, para que todas las decisiones que se tomen, Señor, en estos momentos tan críticos, que sean por el bien de toda la gente y que también den toda la honra y toda la gloria y la honra a ti, Señor. En el nombre de Jesús te damos las gracias. Amén.
Amen. You may be seated. Mr. City Attorney. All right, very good. Is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
Motion for approval of the agenda.
Is there a second? I heard Councilwoman Fernandez second it. So, all right, all those in favor, do we still need to take an individual vote or on? Okay, very good. Then we will not. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, very good. Announcements. I can read it. These proceedings may be viewed on the City of Calexico website, www.calexicoca.gov, the Friday following the City Council meeting. Community office hours with Mayor Hodge have been suspended due to the coronavirus COVID-19. Community office hours hopefully will resume on May 26, 2020 from 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. at City Hall in the City Manager's Conference Room at 608 Heber Avenue, Calexico. Now it's time for our illustrious chiefs to come forward. First, Fire Chief Diego Favilao, and I was told this mic on the right, my right, is working. Not yet.
Good evening, Honorable City Council, City Managers, and the staff that's here, and obviously for all the citizens that are watching via the internet. My name is Diego Favila, the Fire Chief for the City of Calexico. I was tasked to give just a timeline and an update presentation on kind of what we've been doing since the start of the COVID and where we're at today. Myself and the Chief came up with this presentation. He will also chime in when it is appropriate. Just a brief history on the COVID-19. It was first documented in Wuhan, Hubei province, China in December of 2019. The virus presented pretty much like pneumonia or flu-like symptoms, including the fever, the cough, and difficulty breathing. And since then, we've added a couple more to that. In February of 2011, World World Health Organization named the virus the coronavirus 2019 COVID-19. So what we did once we had this, the fire personnel were assigned to the task of following all the Imperial County Health Department announcements about the viral outbreak in January of 2020. Information was disseminated, obtained from the Imperial County Public Health Department, EMS advisories 01 through 04, and that was started on January 27th. These advisories were discussed the importance of monitoring and reporting potential COVID-19 patients to the Imperial County Health Department, special EMS treatment and transport considerations for potential patients that we were going to have, and the specific signs and symptoms of COVID-19. On March 11th, we held our first EMS stakeholder meeting to discuss the escalating issues surrounding the coronavirus outbreak and how best to proceed moving forward. And on this task force, it's a group of personnel pretty much from every city, and most organizations are part of this task force, in the medical field, that is. On March 12th, the department purchased new infrared thermometers and also purchased protective equipment, because at the time, most departments, most companies were not prepared for the amount of PPE were going to be required. So we had to start some of the purchasing, which we all know has been an issue. When that happened, it was a need to activate the county EOC. We activated the EOC in the city of Calexico. At the same time there, I'm sorry, I got a little lost here. On March 12th, the new EMS flow chart for identifying COVID-19 patients and appropriate treatment and transportations consideration disseminated to all the department personnel. And what I meant by that one is this is just all the information that we gave to all your firefighters, the paramedics, the people that were treating some of these patients here. On March 14th, what we did is we decided to make the City of Calexico Fire Department's Facebook the official information source of all the information for COVID-19. We wanted the information to make sure that it was correct and that it provided timely updates from the county, the CDC, the health department, and other information that was pertinent to the COVID-19. On March the 17th, the Imperial County Public Health Department declared a local health emergency. On also the same day, the Imperial County Fire Department Office Emergency Service opens up the county EOC. After that, we ensued on the same date, and we activated our EOC. So your EOC has been open since March 17th, and it runs a 7-day operational period from 0800 to 5 p.m. Starts up the very next day, and that's held with employees from the fire department and from city departments. See here, skip that one. This is kind of an org chart of how this EOC works. There's a bunch of names in there, different groups and sections that we need in the EOC. Just kind of
EOC stand for, Chief?
the Emergency Operation Center. So some of the actions that we've had here in Calexico for the fire department portion, and as soon as I'm done here, the chief will give his numbers as well, is we've had 112 positive cases in Calexico. 50 confirmed patients have been transported to local hospitals, and that is your ambulance transporting these patients to the hospital. What we do on a weekly basis, and obviously on a daily basis, but on a weekly basis, every Monday we have MHS Company coming, and he's disinfecting all of our ambulances free of charge. It's their way to reach out to the first responders in the community, show their care. Every day there's a disinfecting of all the key equipment, and that is done by your personnel from the department. Daily briefings to everybody that's coming on and off are discussed with the pathophysiology of the virus, any of our new policies or protocol updates that have changed before, and we're also having daily and weekly press briefings for the citizens of Calexico, and that is being done by the city mayor and key staff from the city. I think there's a couple stuff that you need to add in here, Chief, just on numbers on your department.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So we followed the same guidelines with the fire department when it came to this COVID-19. It took everybody by surprise. The police department's part of this is to do enforcement of any laws that get passed down while we respond to our regular traffic or regular police traffic that we go to on a day-by-day basis. One thing that we did do is on the first week of this COVID, we went on a 2-week full deployment where everybody was tasked out to work different shifts. The whole department was working different shifts. We had double the manpower. As we came in closer and we noticed that there was no need to have that many people out there, number one, it was exposing a whole department at one time to getting COVID was the main reason. And then we went to having an extra body come in. So the funds for that is we created a fund with the finance department, and it's a COVID fund where we hopefully will get 90% of it reimbursed by FEMA at the end of this operation. We do the same thing. We have a sergeant that's assigned. He's our COVID person that works alongside with a fire department person who is part of the county EOC. And we also monitor the 10 o'clock briefings with the county EOC on a daily basis. On the police department side, just like the fire side, we also have numerous teleconferences throughout the week, whether it be with the California Chiefs of Police Association, to the Department of Justice chief, or through other agencies regarding the COVID. We do hold weekly Chiefs and Sheriffs Association meetings to update all of our cities with the trends that we see. One of the highest trends that we have seen in the department is our increase of burglaries, commercial burglaries. They've gone up around 12 to 15%. I believe I told you, Mr. Hodge.
Yeah.
And 12% just on the burglaries on the commercial area. Our vehicle thefts actually have gone down 15% on our auto thefts because people are staying home. I think that's one of the reasons why. We have seen a rise in our family disturbances, civil calls like violation of court orders, violation of custody orders, and violation of just regular restraining orders. So the calls for service fluctuate. Loud music calls and stuff like that is picked up. And other crimes, our DUIs have gone down. Our traffic accidents have gone down because there's less people out there. One of the main reasons why our commercial burglaries are up on and up, and now I can say it, is the fact that California law changed where the booking procedures for certain felonies are not considered class 1 felonies. Residential burglary will get you straight booked into county jail, but a commercial burglary, which is a second-degree burglary, will not land you booked into a county jail. They did this to protect the jail population from getting infected, and then what do they do with all these people that are incarcerated? So that's the reason why they did it. It's very unpopular with the community because these burglars, thieves, continue to commit crimes knowing that they will not go to county jail. There have been some exceptions done by a judge. We had an arson, which is considered a non-bookable offense. But this person is a serial arsonist, and it was his third arson that we had on him. We were able to talk to Judge Ulloa, which my hat's off to him. He went ahead after we told him all the circumstances. He placed a $450,000 bail on him, and this person is still being housed at the county jail. So he did make an exception for us. Imperial County Sheriff's Office also made an exception for us to keep this person out of there because he's a danger. Danger to the firefighters, danger to the community, because he lit up the old Burger King building at 600 block of Imperial Avenue, caused about $500,000 damage, and he was apprehended leaving the area. We had a very good witness. Happened to be off-duty Imperial police officer by the name of Carmen Fierro. Saw him, and she was able to identify him, and we arrested him right away. So, yes, sir.
What about repeat offenders?
So the repeat offenders, like I said, we catch them, we photograph them, we give them a citation, and we release them. When all this is over, these people are going to be facing hopefully some good time in jail, because it's not a 1 or 2 time, it's like a 4, 5, 6, 7 time repeat offenders. And this is statewide, Mr. Hodge. This is not just Calexico or Imperial County. It's statewide. That's what it is. So we also have, through the fire chief, we were able to get something to disinfect our units, and we're having our units disinfected when we have potential COVID people in there. We've been having a hard time getting disinfectants, but we get them when we can. So that's it. Any questions?
Any questions, council, or comments?
No.
And Diego's going to continue with his presentation.
No.
We're good? All right, thank you.
Chief,
Both of you.
that's weekly when they do the ambulances, and is it when you roll out, or do you do those two in the engines, or just the ambulances?
So obviously, after every call that we have, we're disinfecting all the equipment, and all our personnel are taking the decontamination steps to make sure that everything is sterile again. The one that I highlighted was the one every Monday, the start of the week, we have that company by MHS comes in and disinfects to 100% of the ambulance, and that's done once a week. After that, it's just maintenance throughout the week by our personnel. So we can almost say that every Monday you're getting a brand new, fresh, disinfected ambulance.
Pine Sol,
I'm sorry?
Pine Sol.
Pine Sol, yes.
Sounds good,
All right.
and it's free of charge, I like that.
Yeah, MHS is awesome for doing that. It's a good contribution to the community for sure, and we appreciate it.
Thank you, Chief.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate the information. Now it's time for public comments and public appearances. Do we have any?
No, we do not.
We do not, so we'll pass that by. Then we move on to city council comments and reports of meetings attended. Okay. Councilman Fernandez, do you have any comments? Mayor Pro Tem,
No comments, Mr. Mayor.
comments today? Councilman Risen? No comments. Okay. Councilman Pacheco?
I did attend the County Transportation Committee meeting, and we had a discussion of the unmet needs that the county has, so we had an opportunity to look at the list of things that the actual riders had, and there were concerns, and this was all the cities in the valley, so we had a chance to listen to their concerns, and that was last week, so
Unmet, oh yes,
Yeah.
unmet needs, I
Yeah.
remember that.
that's all. But to report, that's all I have.
Okay. I've got a couple here. Norma gave me a press release. But I would like to wish all mothers a very happy Mother's Day this coming Sunday, and then the next week, next Sunday. On Mother's Day, make it a wonderful day in spite of the stay-at-home conditions. But unfortunately, as you know, you cannot have family gatherings. Your family members cannot go visit you. I know it's disappointing, but it's for the health and safety for you and your family. Stay tough and don't give in. Now, a news release. This is a Mother's Day reminder. Essential, only travel through California border ports of entry. U.S. Customs and Border Protection reminds the public that travel restrictions announced in March and extended on April 20th remain in place as the Mother's Day holiday approaches. On April 20th, the U.S., Mexico, and Canada agreed to extend restrictions on non-essential travel across their shared borders for an additional 30 days. To determine if your travel is essential, please reference the Federal Register notice. Travel related to tourism or visiting friends or relatives is currently deemed non-essential. In addition to the travel restrictions, we remind travelers that they must declare all flowers being brought into the U.S., said CPP San Diego Director of Field Operations, Pete Flores. During Mother's Day, we see an increase in the number of flowers being brought in, and our agriculture specialists are vigilant to inspect them to protect the U.S. agricultural industry. With the current travel restrictions in place, CBP would like to offer helpful tips for those crossing the border on essential travel. Do not pack a pest. Some flowers are restricted or prohibited from entering the United States. While a relatively small number of harmful pests are found among the millions of stems inspected by CBP, a single dangerous pest could cause millions of dollars of damage to our nation's crops. CBP recommends travelers who wish to import flowers, plant materials, and other agricultural items consult CBP Info Center section on CBP website before they travel. One more item. Just a reminder that we are still doing the video production called Calexico Community Updates on COVID-19. We have taken your constructive remarks seriously, and we have shortened the presentations to make it more concise and viewable. Plus, we have created a ticket banner on the bottom of the screen that translates the information into Spanish. You can view these presentations on Calexico Fire Department Facebook or City Hall Facebook. They begin to air at around 5 p.m. on every Thursday. We have special guest and reoccurring presentations from the Behavioral Health Services on our program, so join us. All right, that concludes public city council comments. Now it's time for city manager's report. Mr. Dale.
Thanks, Mayor. Appreciate it. Council. I would just like to take this time to express my thanks to this council for your leadership during this challenging time. This is not an easy time. It's not easy decisions that you're faced with. I know you have a lot of pressures that are being put on you, so I just want to thank you for what you're doing and the time you're spending on this. I'd like to thank my partner, Mr. Figueroa, for all the work and leadership he's providing. I'd like to obviously thank our fire department and our police department for putting themselves out there every day on the line and what they're doing for the city. Thank you so much. I'd like to also say thanks to the staff at City Hall. Everybody is stepping up. That's what's making this city come rebound, and it's not just one person. It's the entire staff, including our council. So I appreciate you, I appreciate your leadership, and I appreciate everybody that's working for us, and that's pretty much what I want to say.
Well, thank you, Mr. Dell. We appreciate your diligence and hard work, along with Mr. Figueroa and staff, and both police and fire department.
Yes, we do.
And it's good to see you, Mr. Campos, city attorney. All right. Very good. That concludes city manager's report. Consent agenda. We have items 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda items?
Motion to approve consent agenda 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7.
Very good. Is there a second? Second by Councilman Risen. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Now it's time for discussion and potential action items. We have presentation and discussion of proposed budget for fiscal year July 1st, 2020 to June 30th, 2021. Carla Lovatos will have the honors of presenting. Thank you and welcome.
Good evening, council members. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties, but I think we're done with that. I think we fixed that. So we're going to get this started. We have, well, at least for the first time for me, we're presenting you a proposed budget. This is just how we're starting. In the next coming weeks, we will have budget workshops with each one of the departments. Each department will be presenting on their department and giving you their list. As you well know, we're in a recession, so it is a little bit difficult to project out that we will be doing any better. This budget is presenting a doable and achievable scenario. It is very conservative, but at this point, this is where we need to be. Sam, can you move to the next one? This one isn't working. No? There we go. Mine is working. So tonight's objectives, to introduce citywide 2020-21 proposed budget, capital improvement program, discuss general fund programs, discuss non-general fund programs, and then we'll be ready to take your comments and incorporate into our proposed budget. What our city budget contains is we have general fund and Measure H, and you can go to page 20 or 22. Page 15 on your budget. The general fund, then we'll move on to operating funds, housing funds, capital improvement program, enterprise funds, CFD, and special district funds, and our internal service funds. I'll touch briefly on each one of them, and then I'll tell you which page to go to on our proposed budget so you can start looking at the numbers. So let's start with our general start with why does our budget need to balance? In prior years, as you well know, our city fully drew and overspent its general fund balance reserve, and it's now on steady course to meet its target of 1 month reserve. During fiscal year 2019-20, City Council approved to make an advance payment for its last and final repayment to the wastewater loan. And as a result of the pandemic, the city's revenues and expenditures have been revised and updated for both 1920 and 2021. And you've already seen 1920 on the third quarter report. We'll just update 2021, considering that we will continue to be closed. The state has given extensions on sales tax, and at this point, we don't know where we will be. So we're being, again, conservative and recession-proof budget. So this is what we're looking at today. So now if we go to page 16, general fund. I'm sorry?
The distinction, page 16 on the packet.
On your packet, I'm sorry.
On the packet.
On the bottom right-hand side, you'll have, that's where you see the numbers. The packet, not the presentation, the packet of that you have on your binders. That's where you have the proposed budget.
Oh, that's what you're referring to?
Right. So what Martha just handed you is the presentation that I have up there.
Page 16.
And you have the proposed budget on your binders. So in item number 8, page 16, is general fund. So we're looking at two packets at the same time. That's one is the explanation, and then we'll look at the numbers as we go along. Are we there? Okay. So our general fund, the definition of our general fund is used to record all resource revenues and expenditures that are not associated with special purpose funds. These activities paid through this fund constitute the core administrative and operational tasks of the city. This fund includes the following services: public safety, police and fire; community development, which includes planning, building, and code enforcement; public works, airport, engineering, fleet, facilities, streets, parks, solid waste, and transit; community services, library and recreation; community and economic development; and administration, which is city council, city manager, and finance. So all of these funds are lump sum into what our general fund is. And this is one of our biggest funds.
Ms. Lovato, is our airport keeping us okay? Are we maintaining a plus balance? Some
We're-
revenues?
We're not as of now. This year it has a deficit. But I do believe it is important that we keep our airport open. So we're looking at other options to see how we can close that gap.
Thank you.
Okay. So if we look at the numbers on our general fund on page 16 of your binders, we will see.
Yeah.
So we have a projected revenue for property tax, sales tax. We have all of our revenues, and this is just a summary. We can look at as much detail as you want to. It is included here. Yes, Mr. Hodge?
The $493,000, where's that coming from?
So
It says
this
post-virus additions.
is additions that we think we will have once we come out of the recession.
Oh, I see.
This is not, what we have on our budget is what we know we will receive.
Okay.
We're expecting to do much better, and that's the 493,000. So what you see on the post-virus additions is where we think after we come out of the recession, what we will have or what we'll be able to spend.
All right, very good.
So on our revenues, we're thinking for our sales tax, it will increase $250,000 more. Once we're out of this recession or this pandemic. We have under Measure H, a few extra money that we believe we will receive. And again, these are projections, and especially for sales tax, property tax, and Measure H. We do have a consultant that provides us with projections. So as much as they are, we are being conservative on what we're projecting because we still don't know where we will be. I mean, initially we thought it was going to be 3-4 weeks. At this point, we don't know if it's going to be another month or so. And we have other program revenues as well. So that's what the post-virus column means, that this is where we think we could have, there's potential to increase our revenues in these lines. And again, if you want to look at the detail, we can go to page. On page 20 of your book.
Page 20?
We see the detail on where we think, where we have virus impact. Those are the lines that at the end up rolling into the summary.
Okay.
So the fund balance projection, the first page we were looking at, this is just a summary, and it's a good overall look of where we will be and how our fund balance will end up at the end of the fiscal year. We want to look at more detail, and again, we can look into as much detail as you want to. We can just look at the summaries.
I know this is a sore point, but our ambulance fees, we're trying and we're trying and we're trying, but we can't get the state or
That's a glitch.
Medi-Cal or to change the rates for,
Right.
in our favor. And I know the chief and you are trying to get those changed because we're really losing.
We're really
Any
losing
revenues?
Progress on that?
I'll be honest, I haven't been able to work on that, and at this point, they're closed. I was working on preparing a budget, so hopefully we'll get back on that. As you mentioned, in the past, we were receiving approximately a 50-55% reimbursement rate, Right now, we're between 22 and 25% reimbursement rate. It's, as you mentioned, Mr. Pacheco, this is a sore subject, but unfortunately it is what it is, and it's a service that we are providing to our community, so. Now I don't know what's going on. So, do you have any questions on our revenues for our general fund? Since I'm working, we can.
Have you ever estimated that yet?
I'm sorry?
The cannabis?
Cannabis.
Cannabis, it is included here. Once again, we're being extremely cautious and
Fiscally conservative.
fiscally conservative. We're not projecting. We do have, I believe, 2 cannabis retail stores working right now. Hopefully, in the near future, we open more, and then as the revenues start coming in, we will revise those revenues.
We're just not trying to because we don't know what's going to really happen.
Exactly.
We don't know the
We're-
situation, where it's going to lead to.
Right, and it happened to us in the first year. We estimated that we were going to have $750,000.
We were being conservative.
We were being conservative. I believe we ended up with a few $1,000s. So at this point, we're not being overly optimistic. So we're just we do have cannabis in here. It's just a very conservative approach on cannabis. So we continue down. Do you wanna do? I don't know whichever one works best.
Operating funds.
So, I don't know. So if we go down to our expenditures, as you well know, or salaries and benefits is the biggest expenditure for general fund. This year we had an increase on our medical rates, and it was significant. So it took a big hit on our expenditures. We are considering the vacant positions that we had. We are adding a few positions, but at this point, I would suggest that those are put on hold, or at least until the revenues start coming in. We are conservative. Again, we have to be very conservative at this point because we don't know what's going to happen in the near future. We have our operating costs, and at the end, we do have a balanced budget. It took a lot of work to balance this budget, but it's not recommended that we dig into our reserves. We are not touching our reserves. That is on, we're still on page 16 of the book. If you see at the end of the fiscal year, our net annual operating results are 0. Not great, but we're not digging into our reserves. Our reserves are staying as they are, which is.
And that's just targeted 1 month.
We're targeting 1 month expenditures. It's not ideal, but it is much better than
It is what it is.
how we've done in the
And
past.
what we had.
Right here for me. And I don't have a copy, so I think what's next is our operating funds.
Pay operating funds.
And I don't have a copy on my.
Oh. We
Okay,
can follow.
there we go.
We can follow
Let's not touch
this.
anything, so,
Well, there you
so
go.
we're going on operating funds.
Grants.
So under our operating funds, we have grants, which the city benefits from state grants to support our library services. We have donations. The city receives community donations to support a wide range of special services, such as police, animal control, fire, library, recreation, and community events. Gas tax, we receive a highway user tax, which is called HIDA. Gas tax is allocated by the state of California, and revenues are available to fund street maintenance programs. Police department, the department is sponsored by several Federal Department of Justice and the state of California to several funds such as asset forfeiture, asset seizure, Prop 172, public safety sales tax. The fire department is also sponsored by Prop 172. COPS grant, HIDA, and Operation Store Guard. Again, cheers. Okay, we'll just move on. Fire department, the department is sponsored by the state of California through Prop 172. We have developer reimbursement funds. These funds are used to track revenues or deposits and expenditures related to a specific project or activity. And the business improvement district, this fund tracks collections and payments on behalf of the city's business improvement district. Now on this one, if we go to page 100, we can look at what our operating funds look like. Again, these are based on, for example, library grant. As much money as we're receiving for the grant, we can spend, and appropriations are given to these funds. That goes for every single one of these funds. These are operating. Sometimes we don't know how much money we're going to be receiving on these funds. Most of the time it's an estimation or based on past practice, with the exception of Prop 172, that we do have an estimation provided to us by our consultant HDS. Since it's based on sales tax, they do provide us with the information of how much we expect to have. So from page 100 to 112, we have all of our operating funds. Would you like to look at any detail on each one of them, or, I mean, this is for you. You can look at them and
Right.
review. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to
You're doing
answer.
fine, just keep moving on.
Okay. Housing funds,
Housing fund,
that would be on your book, it's page 114.
well, that's a loud cricket.
So, under our housing funds, we have 5 different funds. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. We have our housing successor. This fund tracks low to moderate income housing loans and other assets received by the former redevelopment agency at the time of redevelopment dissolution in 2012. Our home housing program, this is an allocation of 2017 and 2018 federal home grant funds passed through the State Department of Housing and Community Development. Funds are allocated for both owner-occupied rehabilitation and first-time home buyer units. We have CDBG. This fund reports on the status of the program loan portfolio. Our home grant, this fund reports on the status of the program loan portfolio. Local housing funds accounts for a housing loan portfolio originally funded through the state HELP and SLPP grant programs. And last, Call Home, this fund reports on the status of the program loan portfolio. On most of these funds, revenues are recorded as they are. The housing funds or the housing loans are being paid off, and allocation for expenses are done in the same way. As we receive the funds, all of these funds, with the exception of general fund, of course, revenues and expenditures should be the same. They are not to keep balances for the most part. Again, if you don't have any questions or you don't want to look at the detail, even if you, after you look at the detail, if you have any questions, feel free to give me a call and we can look into them. Next is our capital improvement program projects. These funds help maintain, improve, build, or renovate properties, streets, facilities, and parks. For fiscal year 2020-21, we are allocating, or we're working on several different projects totaling $61 million. As you can see, we have $16 million on street projects, other transportation projects, $568,000. General government, which will be our new fire station, most of it. Water treatment distribution, $9 million, and our wastewater collection and treatment, $21 million. And this is just for this coming fiscal year. We have a 5-year capital improvement program project, and over the next 5 years, we will be spending $103 million. Each year we revise this, so maybe next year it'll be more. Last year, I think we had $89 million on capital improvement programs. This year it's 61. So depending on the needs of the community, we reassess how these programs are done. Under our capital improvement programs, we have Measure D, or LTA, Transportation Development Act, TDA, road maintenance rehabilitation, Measure H, local capital projects, capital grants, developer impact fees, development projects, and new river improvement project. So again, you have the detail on absolutely everything we will be working on next fiscal year. So and that's page 122. Next, we have our enterprise funds, and that is on page 146. It starts on page 146. Our water operation fund provides domestic potable water service to 8,000 residential and commercial residents. We also have our water capital improvement program. It tracks the capital investment to the city's water system. Wastewater operations provide domestic potable sewer service to 8,000 residents and commercial customers. And our wastewater capital improvement program tracks the capital investment on our sewer system. On our enterprise funds, we also have the airport. The city operates an international airport. Primary revenue sources include fuel sales and hangar rentals. We also have an airport capital fund, which tracks the capital investment in the city's airport infrastructure. Runway and taxiway capital improvements are typically funded with federal and state grants. So all of these funds, besides the operations fund, we have a capital fund, especially for water and wastewater. We are keeping a $3 million operation reserve, and the rest gets moved to the capital fund so that we can fund all of these projects that need to be done to our water and our wastewater systems. We also have our
I'm sorry, Ms. Nelson, if there's a carryover in the enterprise fund, does that carry over to the following year?
Yes, it does.
It does carry over, and we have a little bit of reserve, and it builds.
Right. At the end of the fiscal year, what we do is we leave $3 million in operations, and whatever's left, it gets transferred to the capital fund so that we can continue working on all of the projects that we have. So in page, if we look at page 149, that's our capital, water capital improvement program. You can see how the balance is increasing as the years go by. Unfortunately, it's not enough for all the projects that we have. Or water improvement program, it's much higher than that, and so is the wastewater. The reserves are not enough to pay for all the work that we need to do on our water and wastewater system. Now we have our special district funds. These are funds that are created for to support the ongoing maintenance within the district, including parks, landscaping, lighting, and regional drainage stormwater retention systems. We currently have 5 CFDs, or special districts, within the city. We have Bravo Victoria, Hartstone Town Center, Venezia, which is inactive, and Grand Plaza. internal service or insurance programs. As you well know, we are self-insured, so we run 5 self-insurance programs. We have employee and retiree medical. We have our workers' compensation, general liability, and unemployment. These are like any other fund. Each one of them has a fund, and we keep the accounting separate from anything else. As of June of 2020, we expect the reserves to be at an 8% on our self-insurance fund. If you recall, 2 years ago, even last year, we were paying as we go. We had no reserves on any of these funds, so any expenses that we had, there's still out of pocket, but we had no reserves to pay for this. At this point, we do have we're expecting to have, at the end of this fiscal year, an 8% reserve on these funds, and the same for the next fiscal year. The projection estimate is to keep the same level of reserves for fiscal year 2021. Citywide personnel and workforce. This budget includes new, vacant, and reclassified position. Hiring and promotions will be restricted to an optimal general fund revenue balance, and we will revisit as new revenues are implemented and general fund mid-year projections demonstrate the capacity. As I mentioned, this budget it's balanced at this point. If we add any items, then something else is either going to have to give, or else we're going to start digging into our reserves, which is not recommended. This again, this year we have a much smaller vacancy allowance. We only have 243,000. In prior years, it had been much larger. I do recall the first year I was here, it was 650,000. This year, we only have 243,000 of vacancy allowance. But again, once the revenues start coming in and we're coming out of this recession, all of these items can be revisited, and we can start adding some personnel to our departments, which is much needed. But we also need to keep to try our fund balance at a 0. Here you have a summary of what we're projecting for FTEs. That's a full-time employee for each department, and how the changes have been in the last 3 years. Where we were last year, how we are right now, and what we're projecting for next fiscal year. Most departments did not see any change. We're keeping the same employees that we currently have. Unfortunately, we are unable, due to our revenues, to increase the number of employees. We understand it's needed, but we don't have the capacity to do it right now. And for other funds, we have gas tax, 9 employees, TDA, water fund, airport, and wastewater fund. So at the end of the year, we have about 2 more FTEs than in the next fiscal year than what we have right now. Again, this can always be revisited as we see revenues come in.
What is our fleet? We went down from 4 to 1, and now we're down to 1.3. What does that cover? What position of fleet?
I believe it's the mechanic. Is that what it is, Sandy? Fleet.
Fleet?
What? Shop?
The shop?
Mm-hmm.
The shop.
So here you just it's just a graph showing how our workforce has changed in the last 5 years, 6 years. I think a good takeaway out of this is that we're not reducing our workforce. We are maintaining and we're keeping all of our employees. Unfortunately, we're unable to afford to have any more, but as of now, we can keep the employees that we currently have. Next one. General fund. Continued path to fiscal recovery. The current proposed budget includes a 5-year projection of financial plan to cover growing payments on operating costs and obligations that you can see the 5-year plan on your page. Page 17 page 17 of your book. We have a 5-year projection this year, and then the next 5 years projecting how our revenues would be, and how our expenditures would be. After the 5 years, we will meet an 8% target of 1 month reserve. So one of the goals that we have is to continue to keep our reserves so that if we have something, as we're going through right now, we have reserves to get to this. We're just showing you some of our unfunded liabilities, our cost obligations, or retiree medical unfunded liability, retiree medical benefit payments, or CalPERS unfunded liability, JPIA retrospective charges, and our wastewater advance. It's 0 right now, but it's still listed. So again, this is debt that the city has incurred and that eventually we need to start repaying. But as we move along, then we can start revisiting some of these unfunded liabilities, and maybe it'll come to you if you wish to fund some of these unfunded liabilities.
So we're eliminating the wastewater this year, and in this fiscal year, we're gonna eliminate, and it'll be all paid off.
Right, it'll be paid off.
So we start 2020.
That's
Good.
done.
Any questions or comments? Council? Going once, going twice?
Conservative budget.
Conservative.
It's a conservative budget.
Because we
That's
have
how
no
it
clue
should
what's going to
be.
happen, so.
Tightening our
Exactly.
belts.
Lots of good work, very thorough, thank you.
Thank you. And what's next? On May 13, we'll have department budget presentations. Each department will present to you what their department is doing and their needs. We will receive comments and incorporate into our budget. Again, at this point, I don't suggest we include anything, but we can add it to our budget for future. As you can see, we have the column that says post-virus impact. It can be added to that, and as we see the revenues coming into the city, we can start releasing some of those funds to go to the departments for their needs. We do understand that there's a lot of needs throughout the city. A lot of departments need vehicles. We need an ambulance. Public Works needs vehicles. They need more employees. So as some of these funds start coming in, we can start releasing some of those revenues. So we will have on May 13, we have department budget presentation, and so we won't have them all at the same time. We will split them because other than that, it's going to be a very long meeting. We'll have another department budget presentation on May 20th. Finance will take your comments and incorporate into the city budget. And hopefully on June 3rd, we'll present a final budget for adoption and consider a resolution to adopt a 2021 budget.
The last quarter for sales tax revenue is June?
It's, right, it ends in June. So, and that money, we will receive part of it in July and the other part in August. But since there's been extensions, more than likely it'll be September, October.
I know it'll be minimal because of our lockdown. It is what it is.
Okay,
Right, so, any questions?
Any questions?
Comments?
Not at the moment.
no?
Thank you, Mr. Lovatos.
Pretty- Okay.
Thank you.
And this was just for presentational sake, so no motion or direction. Thank you very much. Mr. Dale?
I'd just like to add, I mean, I know it's been covered in full, and thank you very much. Great work, Director. This is the first time, at least since I've been here, that we've been able to bring a budget for you to review with plenty of time. And so please do look through this. If you have any concerns, questions, Director Lovato's already brought up the dates. We're going to be bringing these to the department heads for their comments and concerns, and I'm sure that some things will change from this draft and as we move forward. And I believe we're already planning to bring it to the Economic Development Finance Commission as well for their input. And so this is a big change
It is.
from the past years where we were just pushed to the limit and we
That's right.
brought the budget at the last minute. So I'd just like to again express the thanks to the Finance Department for being diligent and doing a better job and getting this done faster so you can have a chance to review. I know we were criticized last year, and rightfully so. I mean, nobody had a chance to review it, and we just threw it through, but we had to because of timing. So I just wanted to add that to you. And also, if I could I was remiss a little bit in my comments earlier. I forgot to mention the Public Works Department. We of course appreciate the Public Works Department, and one of the reasons I got up to say all these things is I just wanted to thank Ms. Gomez also for stepping up for city clerk duties tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Dale. Moving on to item number 9. Recommendation, appointment by Council Member Risen to the Personnel Commission.
Mayor, I would like to appoint Mr. Tony Pimentel,
Tony Pimentel, very good.
personnel.
Personnel Commission, so be it. Duly noted. Moving on to item 10. This will require a vote.
Mayor,
Says-
I have a comment that
Oh.
was emailed
Okay,
on number 10.
for
When
the
they-
Personnel Commission?
No, on number 10.
Oh, on number 10. Okay, let me read the subject, and then we can have a comment. Subject, award proposal from Tom Watson Incorporated in the amount of $100,000 and authorize city manager to sign construction agreement for installation of sport lighting pole foundation bases at Joel Risen Field. Very good, long time coming. Joel. Public comment? Joel, not Joel, Joel.
This is a comment from Mr. Eric J. Ortega. It was emailed to the city clerk. Dear Mr. Dale, I am writing to extend my best wishes and congratulations to the city of Calexico on the planned completion of light standards to be installed at the Joel Risen Park. As your council agenda item accurately describes it, this project originated with a request to the Imperial Irrigation District from the Calexico City Council in 2017, and there were any number of challenges along the way, to be sure. But the parties stayed with the process and found a way to make it work, and I'd like to recognize them for their commitment to our community. First, thanks to the IID board, management, and staff for making this project a priority and keeping their commitment to me, which I greatly appreciate. Thanks to my friend, Calexico City Councilman Morris Risen, for making sure that I didn't forget about the commitment I made to him to get this project done. Thanks to the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 569, whose members will be donating their time and labor to the project. Finally, thank you to Shui Iniguez from the Desert Sun Girls Softball League and members of the City Council for your leadership and perseverance. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ortega.
Thank you, Mr. Ortega. All right, this has been vetted and discussed, and looked at. So is there a motion on this item number 10?
Motion to approve.
Is there a
Item number
second?
10.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? This one passes unanimously. Congratulations for all of us, but Mr. Risen, congratulations to you. Now it's time for future agenda items. All right.
Nothing at the
Pro
moment,
Tem?
Mr. Mayor.
No. Future agenda items, Mr. Councilman Risen, future agenda items? Okay. Councilman Pacheco?
Nothing.
Nothing. Okay. And I will ditto that one. Nothing for me also. Is there a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Motion to adjourn?
Second? Second. All right, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.